Nashville with Garry Johnson III, another one of our city partners, Philly, Delaware. Tell us about yourself and what you've been doing in Philly, Delaware.
Man, Philly, Delaware is, we're putting it on the map. It's an exciting time because we got a lot of innovators, black, brown, people that are underrepresented in the greater scheme of things, who are just doing dope stuff. So I'm excited to be here, to be a city partner, and help these founders who are raising money actually have another sort of tool in their tool belt. Because a lot of them are looking to raise venture capital, but right now, they're in the early stages. They're building out their MVPs, their prototypes, and a lot of them have a pretty good community following. So what I love about this opportunity is that we're helping them actually tap into that, and the community can actually invest in them.
How big do you think it is to have established a community first going into this? Because I feel like a lot of times people will, you get in these positions is like, we have a cool product, we have a cool team, give us money now. Yeah. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But how important is it to have a community first?
So important. I think it's the most important thing. I feel like if you're building in public, right, and you're building like for example, a lot of the entrepreneurs I support in Delaware are coming out of the University of Delaware or Delaware State University. And these are entrepreneurs who have the backing of their own communities on campus, right? Fellow students, professors, all that kind of stuff. And then as well as when they have their demo days, right? They're pitching to the greater community. So I feel like they're in a stronger position to actually galvanize the community and say, hey, we need your help, as opposed to just building in private and then being somebody that just pops up out of nowhere and saying, hey, support me. And everybody has to figure out well, okay, who are you? What are you about? You know what I mean? But if we've seen you grinding from the beginning, we're more inclined to want to support.
And you mentioned something yesterday I thought was interesting. Really cool perspective I had never considered. When it comes to Delaware, it's the incorporation state. Everybody builds their companies technically through Delaware. But as far as the entrepreneurs scene in Delaware, nobody really uses that as much of a hub. Why do you think that is? Or is this weirder than I think it is?
No, it's weird. It's super weird. It's super weird. Being a Delaware-based founder, it is the weirdest predicament. Yeah. Because like you said, Delaware is the incorporation capital of the world, right? I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of companies incorporate in Delaware due to tax purposes and all that kind of stuff. It is very business friendly. And the benefits for investors are pretty substantial. So every VC will say, register as a Delaware C Corp, right? So even if I'm in Silicon Valley, VCs are saying, we only invest in Delaware C Corps. But then you try to have a further dialogue about hey, I'm an entrepreneur from Delaware, and they're like, well, I don't know actually what's happening in Delaware, right? There's no real robust startup ecosystem. When it comes to venture capital, we're actually, as a state, at the bottom of the list as it relates to venture capital coming in and going out. So it just makes no sense. But we see that as an opportunity. So that's really why we launched First Founders, because we're of the ecosystem, very much supported by the ecosystem, but the ecosystem needs a lot of work. So we're developing local founders and also attracting investors and other entrepreneurs from other ecosystems to see what we have to offer in Delaware, and vice versa. Founders that are coming out of Delaware should be exposed to Techstars opportunities, YC opportunities, other great things that are going on across the country or even around the world. So we see that as our responsibility. But it's still tough. It's still tough because we're building it from the ground up. Yeah. There's a lot of small business support, a lot of life science innovation support. But anything more if you're working on an app, something something that we're more used to in the tech startup space, right? In Delaware, it's kind of there's no infrastructure to support that kind of innovation.
So is the goal now, is that part of the mission statement to try to turn Delaware into a place for entrepreneurs that want to come and build?
Absolutely. And really, to leverage our strengths, right? So I don't think every entrepreneur, just because you incorporate in Delaware doesn't mean you need to come and build in Delaware, right? But there should be more benefits that come to the ecosystem outside of just businesses paying taxes, right? Their franchise taxes or not. I know a lot of companies actually don't pay any taxes. But man, I think again, being somebody that's in Delaware, it's almost it's frustrating. you know, because you see what innovation can do to communities, right? The good things, the good and the bad, right? But more so focusing on the good and the economic development that occurs when startups, you know, hire employees, right? They grow, they scale, and they create that change and impact in their ecosystems. Like we don't really have that in Delaware, even though all the companies are technically incorporated there. So we do want to create programming and things that shine a light on Delaware as a state, creating sort of infrastructure where early stage founders that do come and incorporate in Delaware, even if you're based in Miami, San Francisco, you know, Oakland, doesn't matter, we can have some sort of like relationship that we're still building, and it's not just incorporate here and then leave, never think of Delaware ever again. We want to create that. So like through First Founders, right? Like we started with a cohort of 8 entrepreneurs local to Delaware, and that was great. Took them through an accelerator for 12 weeks. But then since then we've grown to being a global community of entrepreneurs, over 200 founders all around the world doing dope stuff, who still struggle to get access to resources, mentors, and funding. So like in that way, we're putting Delaware on the map to say, we are inclusive by design, right? We're not trying to bake this stuff in like after the fact. Like we're very intentional from the first step. So that's the infrastructure we're trying to build up. But I see that as a longer, like 10-year, 20-year like strategy, but we're very much committed to it.
It reminds me of what I was reading about Harlem Capital in the early days of like, yeah, we'll give you this money, but your business need to be here for about 4 years. Like, don't take it, get your MVP together and then dip. Like, kind of give back to the community. Let the community kind of got you to this point. Be the ones that kind of help you to grow a little bit more, but then also they can benefit from that growth as well. It's great to say that a company came here for a few years, kind of like aided in economical development through jobs, services, through attraction for other companies to kind of do the same thing. So it's great to create that. I think more smaller hubs need that opportunity, because the entrepreneur is always going to be like a driving force for community growth. Yeah, so we have this program. You're going to get these resources. How do you plan to utilize them in the initial for what you have going on in Delaware and hopefully the future? I probably captured a lot of that in answer before.
No. I'm excited, man. Like seriously, because I like the Philly and Delaware ecosystems are very much connected, but also disconnected. They're 30 minutes apart, right? So it's nothing to go from Delaware to Philly. Delaware founders often will go to Philly for events, networking, right, resources, programming, whatever. But like Philly founders don't really come to Delaware. So like part of what we're doing in Delaware is trying to build up Delaware's value proposition to say like, what we have to offer. Not that it's better than Philly, but that we do have things that Philly maybe doesn't have, right? So creating those opportunities where we create almost like an innovation bridge, right? And founders from Philly want to come to Delaware. Founders from Delaware want to go to Philly. And not that you have to move, but just come, benefit from programming, meet the network, all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about this opportunity because we definitely want to sort of invest more into that. So actually connecting Philly-based founders with Delaware-based founders, hosting dinners to bring people together. We do a lot of like pitch competitions and things like that, and even just innovation like showcases. Like it's not always about just like come and pitch and like compete for money, but it's hey, like come, here's a platform, tell the world like what you're creating and what you need help with. And we've seen that like create a big difference. So excited to just do more of that and have resources to actually support it. We're plugged in to some really cool networks and spaces in Philly, like CIC in Philly has been absolutely amazing. So I'm excited to come back and say like, hey, like now we're Wefunder City partners, right? They're going to be able to help us galvanize the community to come in. We have a beautiful space where we can host events and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm excited to do all that.
Well, I think that is an amazing note to end on. I super appreciate the work you have done thus far, and looking forward to all the contributions moving forward. I think it's an amazing opportunity. I also think it was dope that you, like, whether you came onto this program or not, you were going to do the work. It was going to get done in some way, shape, or form. So it's great to be able to lend a hand and play a part in the growth of a what could be a super thriving market. Garry Johnson, the third, Philly to Delaware. Thank you very much for me.
Can I do something else?
Yeah, for sure.
I always wanted to do this. Hold on, I'm getting a call. Wefunder.
Wefunder.
Man.
Yeah, let everyone know where to find you. And we're up out of here.
Yeah, at Garry Johnson III, Garry, 2 R's, Johnson, JOHNSONIII, everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with dope founders. Like, if you need help, reach out. If I don't have the answers, I like to be a plug and point you in the right direction. So somehow, some way, we're gonna make it happen.
Yes. Thank you very much, man.
No problem, brother. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.